Non-binary?
Non-binary.
Non-binary?
What does it mean?
That's a good question.
Oh gosh, non-binary. So that's like...
I'll be honest, I haven't done a whole lot of research into this subject.
I only know binary related to musical terminology.
For me, would be like not zeros and ones.
Take me back to school, to math. It makes me think of math.
For me, I'm committed to trying to understand that better. It's not something that I learned growing up. I learned just the opposite.
To me, non-binary is the balance of my masculinity and femininity. It's fluid, but it means something different to every single person. I'm Casey, and this is my story. I started riding probably at the age of 4 or 5 with my little training wheels. I remember my very first bike, I had a teal and pink Huffy that we got from Walmart. I grew up in a very small town in northeast Arkansas. My parents just kind of let us ride all over the place.
This is Candace's birthday cake. She is 10 years old.
Mom, we need some more stuff.
Growing up, I have an incredible family. I come from a very large family. I think when you grow up your entire life living in a small town, you're only exposed to so much. I can remember maybe I knew one queer woman when I was a kid, and I knew one trans man when I was a kid. But it was one of those things that people in the community knew, but no one talked about it. You've been taught that a man has these traits, you're strong and you're masculine and emotionless and all these things. And then we see women as nurturing and caretakers, and it's I have a little bit of both of those things and none of those things. Let's get rid of this box and just be who you are.
Trying to figure out that identity was really hard for them. I think as I became more welcoming and accepting of it, it kind of helped create more of a safe space for Casey. But there were definitely some times where I was breaking down on the bathroom floor, crying, me trying to console Casey, especially in terms of trying to figure out that relationship with both of our parents. I think that took a big hit on Casey. Our parents are in their 60s and didn't necessarily understand the impact that using correct pronouns can have on someone. It could really drive someone to something that you can't come back from.
So December of 2020 marked 10 years since I had attempted. I knew pretty young that I was queer, but I think I knew that my family and people around me would still love and accept me, but it was you can be gay and you can be queer, but keep that to yourself. I grew up in the 90s, so we didn't really have the language to know what non-binary was. It took a while after that attempt to get to the space for me to tell myself, I don't want to die. I have a lot of people around me that love me. I needed to stop trying to make people around me happy and comfortable. I needed to be me. Megan and I started dating, and she's amazing. She told me, she said, as long as you're still who you are, the way that you are with us, the way that you show up with us, that's all that matters to me. I asked Megan, can you just start using they, them pronouns with me at the house? Let me see how this feels.
But we're really excited because B has agreed to officiate the wedding. We're just so thankful that she agreed to say yes and jumped in with full enthusiasm.
I also asked my friends, said, hey, I think I'm identifying as non-binary, but between you and I, like, can you start using those pronouns for me?
You can be my assistant.
I love
I
it.
ain't no one's assistant.
You don't have to open up the doors.
We both live in Arkansas, we both like to ride bikes, and we both were wanting to find more BIPOC community to ride with.
I'm so grateful to Casey, Elise, Cody, Lauren, and Molly for being so generous with their time and their hearts to be vulnerable with us and share their experiences.
You know, I rode bikes by myself. It was really cool to, meet this other BIPOC individual who shared a lot of the same ideals and values that I had. It was just like, okay, how do we make Northwest Arkansas, and specifically the cycling scene, like work for us, but also other marginalized groups?
Casey, throughout the course of the pandemic, started connecting with other BIPOC cyclists, has since then just really established such a sense of community.
Well, I've connected with some great people and looking to change the culture of cycling, as we all know needs to be changed. I think we're on the right path to doing this. We have done some really cool things with Bike POC, and cycling is a major outlet for me. I spent 20-something years of my life as an athlete, as a competitor, and now it's really nice to just take a step back and do something physical for fun. I am currently a licensed professional counselor here in the state of Arkansas.
By being their authentic selves, they've been able to find a way and get behind this community.
Being a therapist is a job that I could never do. I would cry every single time a client walked in.
I've got 18, 19, 20-year-old kids looking at me in my 30s, and they're like, oh, like, you've got it together. I want to know what it's like to have this all figured out. It's probably 27 when I started identifying as non-binary. I'm 33 now, and I look back at, 10-year-old Casey and 18-year-old Casey and 22-year-old Casey, and like, I say this all the time, like, I wish I could go back and give that kid a hug and just say, like, just keep holding on. Just because you're gonna find somebody that loves you for who you are, but more importantly, like, you're gonna find that love for yourself. I'm like getting emotional because it's so crazy to get to this point of like, I really do love who I am. I'm also the happiest I've ever been. I look back and think, when I was trying to live up to everybody else's idea of who I was, God, I was miserable. We're resisting society's expectation to be who it says we should be. I think a lot of us are finding happiness within that. I'm a small town person and I want to stay true to that, but I also want to fight back against this idea of, in order to find safety and acceptance, that you have to go into these bigger cities. I find it my responsibility to stay here and make this area safer. I'm very privileged to have the support system around me to stay here and try to make this place better for other people. To me, that's kind of the point of life, right? Not trying to live it to be somebody else, but just to live our life the way that we intend and the way that helps us find our own happiness and joy and love for ourselves. Last week, I was on a phone call with a friend and she told me, she said, regardless of what your story is, somebody needs to hear it. That stuck with me all week. But she's right. Maybe this story, maybe this film isn't for everybody, but I do think it is for at least one person.